الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم ولا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. So brothers and sisters, this is the first course of Roqya, which is risks and protections. What are the risks when you start making Roqya, treating people, and how to protect yourself from those risks? So we put this course in the very beginning, so each one knows what he's going to face and what must he do to avoid any problems. So if someone does not feel he can cope with that, he would stop right now. So there are many points. The first point is that risks in Roqya will start when you treat other people. If you're only treating yourself or treating your family, there's no risk because you're already inside the problem. So you might as well struggle to come out of it. And if you're only learning, there's no risk in learning. So the risks start when you treat other people. And the risks start exactly when you start reading Quran on people. When you read Quran on a person, that will burn the jinn, the bad jinns that are with him. They can come to take revenge on you. So the jinns take revenge on the person systematically. It's like if you walk on the tail of a dog, he will turn around and bite you. He will not try to understand why you have done this, who are you, what's wrong with you. He will just turn around and bite you. That's how the jinns are. So when you burn them, they will not think that, yes, we are guilty, we have done wrong, he's only reading Quran, he didn't even know us there. They won't think any of those things. They will just come directly to hurt you. So how will he come to hurt you? Mostly it will come in your dreams. So you would see something in your dreams attacking you. So if you're a starter in Roqya, a beginner in Roqya, so be very careful the first nights, you might be attacked by something. So if you're attacked by a snake or a dog or a monster or a person or a soldier, or whatever thing it could be, you must catch him and read Quran. And that way you're going to kill him. Actually, the jinns are weaker than human. But when they appear in our reality, in life or in dream, or if you even can hear their voices, however, by whatever means they will come into our life, they become vulnerable. That means you can catch them and kill them, and they can do nothing about it. So so in order to do this before you sleep, you have to prepare yourself before sleeping. Make your adhkar, sleep with your wudu, ask protection of Allah Ta'ala. Well, what we say to our patients, to a patient who's having jinn problems, we tell him that every night he's going to read أَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا يَأْتِ بِكُمُ اللَّهُ جَمِيعًا إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ many times before sleeping, and ask Allah Ta'ala to bring the jinns that are harming him in his dream to kill them. So he's going to prepare himself like that. And as soon as he sees them, he must catch them and read Ayat al-Kursi until they die, and that will be finished. And most people don't manage to do that in the first time. So he might just see him and not do anything. He might also run away. He might just read a bit. But even if you just see him, it's already a victory. It's like if there's a robber in your house and you open the light and you saw him and he saw you. So that will already weaken him because he knows that you know, and he can't. It will be difficult for him to come another time. So even if you don't kill him, you will have weakened him. But keep trying until you manage to finish them all. Maybe they'll run away, so you won't be able to catch them anymore, but the problem will be finished. That is what that concerns our patients. But as for ourselves, the Raqis, it is not some jinns that are fighting us and that we will finish off. This is a thing that will never finish off, because we're always treating patients and always getting new jinns to fight us, to attack us. So how can you be all the time ready and steady to fight the jinns? So in order to have that ability to fight the jinns whenever they come in your dreams, you must always be awake for the orders of Allah Ta'ala. What does that mean? It does not mean that you have to be making zikr 24 hours like an angel, but you must always be awake and attentive to the orders of Allah. For example, if you're going to eat, you don't forget to say Bismillah. if someone makes ghaiba, talks to you about something ghaiba, you will stop listening. You will know that it is haram, must not listen to that. If it is prayer time, you cannot forget your prayer time and be busy with something else, and prayer would go by without you being conscious that the prayer has gone. So this is what I mean by being always awake. So even if you're not making dhikr, but there's always some light that will flash if something wrong is happening, or if you have to do something, so you will always remember. So if you have the state of mind of always remembering the orders of Allah Ta'ala, so whenever a jinn will attack you, you will remember to ask the help of Allah, to read Quran, and that this is a jinn, and you're going to catch him and kill him. So that's how you have to be protected from jinns. And when you're going to kill them in your dreams, once you have killed 1 or 2 or 3, there's no more jinns that are going to come in your dreams. And that will be finished. Now, there is something that can make jinns beat you in your dreams. It is sins. So if you do sins, because it is a spiritual fight, it's not a physical fight, so if you do sins, that will make a weakness in you and allow jinns to beat you. For example, if you look at women, so the jinn will see that weak point in you, and he will come in your dream like a woman you like to see, and you will have the first reaction to look, because that's what you like to look at, and when you look at him, he's going to hit you, and that hit of the jinn, that will weaken you spiritually and physically. So you will wake up spiritually weakened, emptied of your iman, as if you have done a lot of sin with women. And you will also wake up weak physically in your body, as if you are being ill, having a cold or something like that. So if that happens, you must repent right away. You must repent from your sin and work your iman again by reading Quran and doing nafila and dhikr, and also physically try to strengthen yourself, taking vitamins and taking care of your body. So that means that if a person is doing sins and is not ready to repent from those sins, that means you have sins in your life, you know very well that is haram, what is you're doing, but you're not ready to make tawbah, to change your life. And that's wrong. You shouldn't. There's no reason actually really to keep on doing sins. There's no good in this life or hereafter that you will get with those sins. But if you are not ready to repent from your sins, so you cannot do Roqya. You cannot do Roqya on people, because you will have too much problems coming onto you and you'll not be able to solve those problems. But as I said, if you are making Roqya for yourself or your family, that is not risk, because those jinns are already attacking you, already harming you. So you might as well pray and do your best to get rid of them. So that is the first risk in Roqya, that is the risk of jinns. Now, the second risk in Roqya is the sorcerers. So, when you treat people, you destroy sorceries, so progressively, sorcerers will know that you are destroying their work, and they're going to do something to attack you. So, the reason is because sorcerers are proud of what they do, and they're proud people, and they cannot bear that someone will be stronger than them and break their work. And the other reason is that people are going to complain to the sorcerer that I have paid you and you have told me that that person will not get married or will not have children or this and that. Now it's happening, all what I didn't want to happen is happening, but you told me you're a strong sorcerer, I gave you so much money, so how is this possible? So you're ruining his reputation and breaking his work. So he will use his jinns to understand what happened. He will know that you have treated the person, and he will send sihr back on the person and onto you, so that you will stop treating people. And the sihr he's going to do to you is not the same that he does to normal people, because you are a healer and you read Quran and you're a pious man, etc. So he's going to do you some stronger sihr, very special sihr, because you're not like a common people that don't remember Allah, that have mixed sins in their lives, etc. So if it is approximately 20% of the cases that where these things happen, so if you're treating, say for example, 20 people a week, that will make 4 strong sorceries that you're going to get every week. So how to deal with this? So there are the protections that we give to patients, that we must do ourselves, reading Qul Huwallahu Ahad, al-Falaq and 3 times after Subh, after Maghrib, before sleeping, Ayat al-Kursi after each prayer, before sleeping, A'udhu bi kalimatillahi tammati min sharri ma khalaq, Bismillahi alladhi la yadurru ma ismihi shay'un fil ardi wa la fis samai wa huwa as-sami'ul alim. 3 times after Subh and after Maghrib, and all the adabs of Islam. So that is for your protection. And the most important protection is to leave sins. We have already discussed about that. But also, as you are treating people, you have to constantly wash yourself with Quranic water. And this is something necessary. And I have had many students and many other Raqis that said, no, I do such and such dua, so nothing can happen to me, so they don't treat themselves. And then they start having small problems, and problems getting bigger and bigger, until they are overwhelmed, they are drowned in the problems, and they end up stopping Roqya. Just because they think that nothing can happen to them because they are so pious and making those du'as. Whereas Rasulullah ﷺ was hit by sihr. So who can be protected from sihr if Rasulullah ﷺ himself was ill, and he was praying and reading the Quran, but that did not stop the sihr until the angels showed him what happened, and he brought out those knots and read al-Falaq al-Nas on it, and those knots went out. So it does need a treatment. So I'm telling you, if you're making Roqya, you can be sure that lots of people and sorcerers will be attacking you. So you have to wash with the Quranic water all year long. So I don't say that you have to wash every single day, but keep quite a big quantity of Quranic water in your house. You can keep a jerrycan of 20 liters, or you can buy a big dustbin of 150 liters and you fill it with water. You read a long Roqya on it, and each time you're going to take a shower, you wash with that water. And you'd better do the same for your wife and children. So everybody, because that's how they are, jinns and sorcerers. If they see that they can't reach you, they will look for weak points in your family. So they will attack them. Now, if someone in your family is making sins, those sins are making that every time jinns and sorcerers are hitting him, so you must explain to him, well, this is because of your sins, so you must make tawbah. And in such a way, inshallah, if they're not afraid of Allah, maybe they'll be afraid of sorcerers and jinns, and they will stick onto Islam. And in that way, those sorcerers and jinns will help us educate our family in Islam. Because if they make sins, they will get the punishment right away instead of waiting for the day of judgment. So, I ask all my pupils to regularly wash with Quranic water. I don't say wash every single day, but always have Quranic water at home. If you can always drink from that water all the time, that will help. And every time you wash, you, your wife and children, take a bath, take a shower with that Quranic water. And if despite all these protections and this washing with water, if a sahir has reached you, has managed to hit you, so you must hit him back as strong as possible. You must make the dua of mazloom, the dua of oppressed person against him. You see that in Islam, the strongest dua that exists is dua of mazloom, of someone that has been oppressed. It is stronger than dua of parents, than dua of someone who's fasting or who's in traveling or who's in Hajj. It is the most strongest dua. So that is a very strong weapon Allah has given to you. So now that the sahir has done sihr on you, on your family, it has become a personal problem between you and him. So in the beginning you're just treating patients, you're not attacking really the sorcerers. But now he has attacked you, it has become a personal problem. And you must use this opportunity to destroy him totally. So you're going to make a strong dua. I'm going to give you how we have dua of curse prayer. Well, it is you're going to pray 11 rakat by night after Isha, just your 11 usual nafilas. Anyway, just make 11 rakat, usual 2, and then shafa and witr. In each rak'ah after Fatiha you read رَبَّنَا آتِهِمْ ضَعْفَيْنِ مِنَ الْعَذَابِ وَلْعَنْهُمْ لَعْنًا كَبِيرًا. It is Surah Ahzab verse 68, and it means, oh my Lord, give them a double punishment and curse them a great curse. And you read this verse in every rak'ah 100 times. So 11 rak'ah, that is total of 1,100 times. So that will take you about 2 hours time to curse them. And this is how it works. Now I'm going to tell you a couple of stories. I had once a patient, the sihr did knots on him, did sihr with knots. He spent all the night tying knots, you see. So usually they do 3 knots or 11 like they did for Rasulullah, something like that, or maybe 1 big knot. But this sahir, he spent all the night attaching knots and reciting satanic things to attach the person. So the object of this is that the person will never get cured. That's why they do it. If you do a treatment that could remove 11 knots, so imagine how many times you have to repeat that treatment to remove all those knots. So if you do that treatment for 11 knots once, twice, and 3 times, and there's no change in the situation of the patient, you would say, well, I don't understand your problem. I can't do more than this. And he would be. That is the purpose why they do this. So they anticipate that the person is going to try to get treated, and they try to make something that would be very, very difficult to treat. We can't say impossible, but they will do it to make it impossible as much as they can. So you see, the sahir is spending all night making knots for shaitan, to make his work go. But we cannot get the strength of praying Allah Ta'ala all night to break them. So this, if we are weaker than them, that means they worship shaitan. They serve shaitan more than we serve Allah. So that's when they're going to beat us. So we must also have the determination and courage to fight them, as they are working for shaitan and destroying people's life. I'll give you a second example. I had a patient, he was living in sins, and he had 2 girlfriends, and both 2 girlfriends were making sihr on him. And so one night he was sleeping with a girlfriend, and very early in the morning he woke up, he went out, he took his car, and he went 200 kilometers to the other girlfriend. And when he reached the house of the other girlfriend, it was around 7 in the morning, there was her mother and her sister with her. And when he knocked at the door and he came in, he saw she was there, and her mother and sister. And they said, and the mother and sister said, okay, it's okay now. And they went, and they left her. And he didn't understand anything, what were they doing and what was happening there. And he didn't even understand why he went there. Anyway, he stayed with her. And then after some time, he came back to the first girlfriend. So she told him, as she was making sihr too, so she was understanding the situation. And she told him, why did you go the other day? He said, really, I don't know. And she told him, what did you find with the other one? Well, he said, there was her mother and sister. But she told him, did you not see how they were? I said, no, I didn't see anything. She told him, didn't you see they didn't have any clothes on top? They just put something on top of them. They're not, and their hair was not properly brushed. Oh, he said, yes, they were funny. She told him, those 3, the mother and her 2 daughters, spent all night top naked, and the hair was open, dancing for shaitan, moving their hair and moving their breasts for shaitan all night long to bring the boy back. So you see, this is just an example to show you how people that worship shaitan and ask the help of shaitan will do. Have you ever seen a mother and 2 daughters praying all night to ask Allah Ta'ala for help? Or a father with his children? I don't know anyone who did it, who ever did it. I don't say it never happened, but I don't know who did, who prayed all night long with his children to ask Allah Ta'ala for help. But to ask shaitan for help, they do it. They do it, you see. So this is to tell you that if you are going to engage in this Roqya, you must know it is going to be a battle with all evil forces, because they will not know what you're doing. And this battle, we can win it. We can win it. We have the means to beat it. Because when you're going to spend your night 2 hours or more praying and cursing that person, inshallah, before morning, before Fajr, something is going to happen to him. Something very hard is going to happen to him. And next person who wants to make sihr to you, he's going to feel that it's going to come back on him, and he's going to leave you. And that is the best defense, as we say, is the attack. So anyone who does sihr on you, on your family, don't miss him. That is the occasion to finish him up. Because now it is a personal problem between you and him, and he is dhalim, and he's doing shaitanic work, and he did not hurt you for your money, he hurt you so that you stop making Roqya, so that people stop getting treated by Quran and always depend on sihr, and that him and his shayateen will always be dominating. So this is really jihad fi sabilillah, so you have to do your best to break him. So that is the risks and protections. And that is to tell you, if you're going to go to Roqya, we can win. We have the means to win. And if the Sahir has done something on you or your family, so you just treat yourself and treat the family as the same way as we treat people. So that's another problem, because some people who do not have a broad enough knowledge of Roqya, for example, they can treat some cases, not other cases, or they can just read and see if something happens, and sometimes they will find a clue, sometimes they will not find a clue. So if they are hit by sihr or families, they are not sure to be able to solve the problem. So they cannot engage, because in certain cases they can find a solution, in other cases they will be stuck, and that's too much risk to take. So when you know how to treat all kinds of problems, well, we cannot be perfect, but we know basically how to treat each kind of problem. So whatever happens to us, we'll treat it, and life will continue, inshallah. It will not be the end, but will be destroying sorceries and saving people from shirk. May Allah Ta'ala accept us and help us. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم ولا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. So this is the course of symbols, symbolic sorcery. So sorcery basically is words that are said, satanic words. Like Quran is Allah's words, and this is why the Quran destroys the sorcery, because it is Allah's words that are going to destroy the satanic words, the prayers to shaitan and the satanic words. But this sorcery most of the time uses physical elements, like knots, as Allah Ta'ala says, وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ, from the evil of those who blow the knots. It can be put in graveyard, in water, it can be put in food, so the person will eat that food, it can be put, etc. So it uses physical elements to make it stronger and more effective. So there are symbols. So for example, the knots, why do they do the knots? To attach someone's life, so you cannot work, you cannot get money. It can attach a woman's womb, so she will not have children. It can attach a child's student's mind, so will not understand anything at school. It can attach the communication between the couple. That means every time they're going to discuss about something, they go into problems, they go into misunderstanding and into arguments. So that is the symbol of knots. So, well, the problem with this symbolic sorcery is that it is somewhere done with something, and when you treat yourself, if you bath with the Quranic water, it will the effect will come off you for a day or two, and then the second day or the third day it's going to come back, because it is staying in its source and it has not been destroyed in its source. And so the effect on you is removed, but that source will bring back the same effect on you again. So this is why we must find a way of destroying that sihr in its source. So when this kind of sihr happened to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so the angels told him where it was, and the angels told him where it was, and he went with Sahaba, he picked it out of the well, and then he held those strings, that string with the knots, and he read until the knots opened and the sihr had gone. So it is not easy for us to do the same thing as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for two main reasons. First of all, we don't have angels to come show us where the thing is. Second point is that most of the time they put sihr in a place where it is impossible to take it out. For example, they can put it in the sea. So, for example, they can cross the sea to go somewhere, and when they get to the middle of the sea, they'll put it there. Or they can put it in a grave. So the simplest way is to go to the graveyard, and you'll find a grave or two that are dug in advance, waiting for someone to come, and they just make a small hole and bury it in the grave, and after a day or two, someone's going to be buried there. So even if the person who did it say, excuse me, I've made sihr on you, I put it in this grave. So what can you do? You'll have to break the grave, dig out the person, and look under the person to find your sihr. So that is practically impossible. What to say if you don't know which grave it is? There are many ways. Some people, they put sihr, there's a road that's being built. So before the road is made, they put sihr there, and then the road is laid over that sihr. So can you break the street to dig out your sihr? And there are many ways. They can just put it in the toilet and flush it out. So it has gone with the toilet. There are many ways of doing sihr, and so that it is practically impossible. I mean, it is physically impossible to get it back. Now maybe you can get jinns or something special from Allah to make it out, but using jinns is very, it's complicated. It's complicated to have jinns, to have the jinns do that job, that they are Islamic jinns, that there is nothing hidden in that process. Well, some people that we have got to hear about that use jinns to bring your sihr, that process is not clear. It's not transparent. So we are afraid that there's something inside that's not acceptable in Islam. Anyway, I don't encourage anyone to use jinns for Roqya, because very soon some stronger jinns will come and beat them up. And if sahir see that you are using those jinns to treat people, they'll make sihr on the jinns, and they'll be out of use very, very fast. So this is the problem. How to remove that kind of sihr? So I told you that doing the same thing as Rasulullah ﷺ is very difficult, because angels helped him. That is natural, as he is a prophet, but it's not natural for us. And also because that place was accessible, but today it is very difficult that a sahir puts some sorcery in a place which is easy to find and to take out. But there's something Rasulullah ﷺ did that we can do, and Aisha radiallahu anha says that when he was ill, وَلَكِنَّهُ دَعَى وَدَعَى ثُمَّ دَعَى وَدَعَى ثُمَّ دَعَى وَدَعَى ثُمَّ قَالَ يَا عَائِشَةَ. So Aisha radiallahu anha says that when Rasulullah was ill, he made dua, and again dua, and again dua, and then he said, oh Aisha, do you know that Allah Ta'ala has given me the answer to my dua? And he told her that 2 angels came to me, etc. And Allah gave him the solution to his problem. So the thing we can always use is making dua, asking Allah Ta'ala to give us a clue for this situation. So I'm going to tell you the history of our work with symbols, with symbolic sorcery. So in the first time I had this case, it was a woman, sihr was made on a tree. Sihr was made on a tree. And that time there was Muslim jinns, because there's one guy, he was attacked by an army of jinns, and they all embraced Islam. So for some time they were there trying to help us. So they went to remove the sihr from the tree. And then they came back, they said, no, we found bad jinns keeping that sihr, so we could not remove it. So we told the man, it was his wife that was ill, well, we are stuck, make dua. So he made a lot of dua that night, and the next day the jinns came that they went again to remove the sihr, and some angels came and caught those bad jinns, so they removed the sihr. And alhamdulillah, the woman was cured. Then another time we had the same case of a woman having sihr in a tree and being kept by evil jinns. So when we told the man to make dua, so next day the jinns came and said that they want to remove the sihr, but no angels came. So they came to remove it. So I thought, well, are we going to need angels to come down for each and every person? This is a very difficult solution. I mean, does everyone have to reach a point in dua that angels will come to help him so that he can get out of the problem? Well, really, this is not, I mean, we must look for something simpler than this, and an easier way to treat people. So then I called my sheikh with whom I had learned until I just learned by observing him. He didn't really teach me. So I asked him, when the sihr is on the tree, how to remove that? He said that the woman should wash with the Quranic water and take that water and choose any tree, just any tree, and throw the water on the tree higher than her, with the intention of throwing on the sihr that has been made on her. As if she found that tree, she found that sihr, and she threw the water on it. So we did that and it worked. MashaAllah, very easy. No need for jinns, no need for angels, no shirk, no nothing. It's just the intention. Once you know that the sihr is in a tree, so the water you wash with, just take it and throw it on a tree, any tree, and that will go, MashaAllah, very easy, very efficient, totally efficient. It just works because it is intention. Because, I mean, how to explain that this works? Because when the sihr is put on a tree, for example, it is put for two reasons. It will surround the person so that he will be going round and round in his life. Instead of going forward and constructing, building something in his life, he will be going round and round. So always come to point zero. And the second effect is that that will take his mental over reality. So he will be imagining things, fearing things, doubting about things, and always thinking away from reality. Instead of having a pragmatic and constructive thinking, he will be thinking like he's in the clouds, like he's always dreaming or imagining things. So the effect of the sihr on a tree is this, to have a tree, just to put it on a tree. So any tree is like any tree. It will have the same effect, you see? So that is why if you throw this water on any tree with the intention of breaking the sihr, that will work. I'll give an example. It's like if there's a fish in a pond. So when you put the hook to catch it, you don't need to run after the fish. You just put the hook in the pond, and eventually the fish will be attracted and you will catch it. So when we got this idea this was the first point, when the sihr is on a tree, so we ask the person to wash with Quranic water and throw it on a tree, any tree, a tree that must be higher than him. While if the person is living on a building and there are trees under his window, he can throw them. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. We'll come back inshallah. So the first symbol we started using was the tree. If sihr was made on a high place, so the person would wash with the water and take that water, throw it on any tree in a height with the intention of throwing on the sihr that has been made on her. And that works, alhamdulillah, perfectly. And that is nothing wrong with Sharia. It's just the intention, and alhamdulillah it worked. So after that, we started generalizing this principle to any kind of sihr that has been made. For example, if the sihr was buried in the ground, we would pour the water on the ground with the intention of throwing on the sihr that was buried there. If the sihr was in a well, so we will throw the water in a well. If we can't reach a well, we will go to something high, like a bridge, and throw from the bridge with the intention of destroying the sihr that is in the well. And if the sihr was done in a grave, or using something of a dead person, we will take the water to a graveyard and empty it on any grave with the intention of throwing on the sihr that was put in the grave. If the sihr was made by knots, we will take a simple string and make some knots in it and dip it in the water that the person washed with, so he'll let it spend all the night with the knots, and in the morning throw that water. And we start doing like that any kinds of sihr. We will take something similar and put it in the water, or throw the water on a similar place. So, and it was working, alhamdulillah, and it was always confirmed. That means that even my students, when they were faced to some different cases that they did not meet before, that I did not meet, I did not teach, so they could themselves do the procedure and it will work. For example, some of my students told me that they had received a girl that never sweat. She never has any sweat. So what they did, they told her sister to wipe some sweat with a Kleenex and to put it in the water of her sister that did not sweat. And when she did that, next time she came for treatment, when they read Quran on her, she filled the whole room with sweat. So that problem was solved. And we had many confirmations that it works, alhamdulillah, and that is the nature of the sihr, that is a symbol. It's not, the important thing is not the particular place it was put in, but what does that place represent? Why is it meant to put it in that place or to use such thing inside the sihr? But this method made us a problem. That people were saying, we went to Ben Halima, he told us to make knots, he told us to go to cemetery, he told us to do this, to do that. And the Imam said that this is sihr, it is sorcerers who do such things. And then it becomes very complicated to explain to them, no, this is just a symbolic, just the intention to destroy that sihr that was made there, like Musa alayhi salam with the sorcerers, when they threw their sticks and ropes, he also threw his stick. He did the same act. He did the same action, but they did it with the help of shaitan, and he did it with the help of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. So it is a question of intention, and it's not sihr, because sihr is a pact with shaitan, doing satanic things, and this thing has nothing satanic and nothing shirk inside. So it was difficult. Once the people went and heard bad things, and they keep on repeating, and this problem was getting bigger, and depending on the places and the cultures and the habits of people and how imams will interpret that thing. So then we changed completely the method, and instead of using the symbols of the sihr, we took verses that to solve that symbol. For example, if the sihr was in a grave, we take the verse أَوَمَنْ كَانَ مَيِّتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ كَمَنْ مَثَلُهُ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ لَيْسَ بِخَارِجٍ مِنْهَا. Is the one who is dead, أَوَمَنْ كَانَ مَيِّتًا, the one who is dead, and we brought him back to life, and we gave him a light with which he walks amongst people. Is he same as the one who is in darkness, not coming out of it? So we add that verse in the Quranic water, and the person washes with it, and that sihr in the grave will be removed, without going to grave, without doing nothing, just by adding specific verses into the water. So in that way we reached up to 45 verses for 45 different types of sihr. So we add those verses in the water, and the person will wash with, and the sihr will go. So that's made the treatment much easier, simpler, and there is no objection possible, because that is purely Quran. That is just Quran you are adding in the treatment, and the person will wash with it and will get cured by the will of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. So now to destroy the sihr, first you have to recognize what kind of sihr it is. So we recognize the kind of sihr by the symptoms. For example, if the sihr is in a grave, the person will be seeing dead people in his dreams, and he will be feeling like a dead person, being very tired and depressed, not having happiness in life, and thinking negatively. And I told you, if the sihr is in a high place, the person will be going round and round in his life, and his mental will be going always in imagination. And he would be dreaming of himself going up or flying or falling. So you have the details of these 35 kinds of sihr, how to recognize it from the symptoms. So when we discuss with the person, we will ask him what's his feeling, what's happening in his life, what's wrong, what does he see in his dreams, and see his emotions, and then we note all the types of sihr he has, and then for every type of sihr, we're going to add the verse, correspondent verse, into his treatment. So to add the verse in the treatment, in the beginning, we were reading the verses on the jerrycans. So that means that everyone must have his own jerrycan, and to do his own treatment. And we read the normal Roqya verses in those jerrycans, and then we're going to add for each person the verses that he needs. So we write down the symbols, then we search for each verse, and we read each verse 11 times into that water. So we had the option either to read the verses. So what we did then, instead of reading specific verses for each person in his own jerrycan, we put all the jerrycans together and we read the whole of the verses on all the jerrycans. So now each jerrycan contains the treatment for all 45 types of sihr. This makes it easier for us than having a specific jerrycan for each person. That was complicated. Then we also had the option of handwriting the verses on a paper and giving the paper to the person, so he will dip it in the bucket to dilute it. So that requires special ink which is edible and which is dilutable. So it depends. Well, you can use za'afaran, you can use any natural ink that is tahir, that is pure, and that is edible, and that is dilutable. And that also was not easy to write for each person the specific verses and give him the paper, because that takes quite a bit of time. So what we did, we wrote the full 45 verses on a sheet of paper and dilute that in a jerry can and take some water from that jerry can to prepare all the other jerry cans. And now, alhamdulillah, I'm just telling you this whole history so you understand where we have reached. So now we are printing with a printer the verses, all the 45 verses with a printer that is specially made for edible ink. Well, in the beginning, we can take any kind of printer with an ink printer and replace that ink by za'afaran, by edible and dilutable ink. But when we do that, it will print some sheets of paper, then the printer will break, because that ink can never be compatible, can never be okay with the printer. So after some time, the printer is going to break. So it was worthwhile, even if you get 200 or 500 sheets of paper and then we throw away the printer, it was okay, we could afford it. But alhamdulillah, now recently these special printers have been made to print edible ink, and that is what we're using. So for a few years I was hesitating to move on to printing, because I was saying that writing the Quran by hand, that includes the intention of the person and the taqwa of the person and the intention of getting the ill person, the patient, cured. So what if a machine does it? Maybe that will have less barakah, less effect than if you do it by hand. So I was hesitating for years and thinking about it, because we cannot take a chance to give something wrong to patients and then they'll not be cured and said, oh, sorry, that was just an experience, now we're going to give you a good treatment. So we could not take that chance with patients. So then I remember that the Quran itself that everybody uses today is printed by machine. And in the early days of Islam, of course, there's no printer, so the Quran was written by hands. So, and all the hadith that we must respect the Quran, we need wuzu to touch it, we must not take it in the toilet, etc. They were applied for Quran that is written by hand. But once the Quran is printed by a machine, so everybody knows that all these rules on Quran still apply to the Quran that is printed by machine. And there's this Quran printed by machine is not less worthy than the Quran written by hand. So this convinced me to say, well, even if we print the Quran, that will not change the power and the efficiency of Quran. So we did it, alhamdulillah, it is working. So of course it is easier for us, but it is also more beneficial for the patients, because we can print much more verses for the same patient, instead of, for example, writing the 10 verses of the symbols of his 10 symbolic sorceries. He would get a sheet with all the 45 symbols. And we can also do more. That means if someone has a specific problem that is not going out, for example, if he has a sorcery in the grave that is not finishing, we can print a whole page with that verse of the sorcery in the grave. Some people also wish to have treatment with full Quran, so we can print the full Quran on 16 pages. So imagine if you wanted to write the full Quran with your hand, how that will not be possible. That will take 1 year, or I don't know how much time it will take. Or if you have to read the full Quran on the water, that will be very difficult. But now you can just print it and dilute it all in the water. So this is how this is concerning the symbols in sorcery. Yet when we do the diagnostic for one person, we have to search for all his symbolic sorceries and write them down, even though we're going to give him a sheet that contains the 45 verses for all kind of 45 sorceries. Why? For many reasons. The first reason is that sihr, when it is discovered, it gets weaker, and its effect is weaker. For example, if you are fighting with your wife and suddenly we tell you, or you understand that this fighting is because of sihr, someone made something to you to separate you from your wife or husband, so that makes you cool down. When you feel that anger, you say, no, there's nothing to be angry about. This is someone evil that has done this to me to separate me from my wife, so I'm not going to get angry. That means that when you know that there is sihr, it makes it weaker. So when we write them down, that is a part also of the treatment to identify them and to write them down, and that is partly go to weaken them. Second reason is that we have to know what the patient has, so that when he will come back, we will see in his sheet what he had, and are these symptoms still going on, or are there new symptoms that come, so we can follow up the case of the patient. So this is why we have to write them down anyway. And the third reason is that if we are in a situation where we don't have these printed papers, so we must be able to use the old methods, either to read the verses on the jerrycan of the patient, or to give him the verses so he'll read himself at home on that water, or to write them down on a paper and give him the paper. So we must be able to treat those cases, even if we don't have the paper where all the verses are printed. We must know how to deal with it. So this was concerning the symbols and sorcery. May Allah Ta'ala accept us and use us for the good of Islam and Muslims. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم ولا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. So this is the course of diagnostic. So we treat three things: jinn, sorcery, and evil eye, ayn. And the base of the treatment is the Quranic water. So the Quran, we read on the water, and the person drinks, washes, and sprays his house. This is the base of the treatment. The effect, the power of Quran in water is much more than simply reading Quran. The difference is as if you are hot and you cool yourself down with a shower, and you cool yourself down with a fan, and now you cool yourself down with the shower. So the shower will be much more effective than the fan. So the base of the treatment is washing with the water for 12 days. And this is for everybody. So in the beginning of the Roqya, when I learned with the Sheikh with whom I learned, Mubarak al-Amrani in Paris, so he used to give treatments of 7 days. So we started with that. Then we found more difficult cases, and we put it up to 9 days. Then when I came to Africa, I put it up to 12 days, because people are more affected and sorceries are stronger in Africa, in Black Africa. And eventually you can even give 12 days morning and evening. So now the treatment we give to everybody is 12 days. So to put the Quran in water, we used to read on the water. And now we're using the paper that we print with all the verses to put in the water. Yet, if you are in a situation where you cannot get the paper, so you must read. So the same Roqya we read on the patients, and the oil, and the incense, and the kuhl, the surma, and any other products if it has needed to be done. So that is the Roqya we read on the water. That is the same Roqya we read on the water. So concerning the house, actually now we give it systematically to everybody. Spraying the house is to remove the jinn, the sihr, the sorcery, or also the ayn, but not usually ayn on the house, nazar, evil eye. It's mostly jinns and also sorcery. Well, as I'm saying that when someone is going to spray the house, he must make sure to spray all the surface. Some people say and teach to spray the corners. I don't believe in that. I believe all the surface has to be sprayed. We happened that one person, we gave him to spray the house once, twice, and still he had problems of jinn. And when we came, there was one brick in his in the floor that is underground. So in the garage underground. So it wasn't the walls weren't painted. It was just naturally, and one brick was broken, and inside the brick all the jinns were hidden there. So if it is a problem of jinns, you must make sure to spray all the corners. And the bed is very often the target, the bed where of the couple. Subhanallah, one woman just told me today or yesterday that she was having very bad dreams, and she was having wetting herself in her bed, urinating on herself, and she had to wake up every 1 or 2 hours to go, and someone came to her house, so she left him in her bed, she went somewhere else, and she was sleeping very well. So subhanallah, after she had tried many ruqyas, then she discovered that the problem was in the bed. So when you spray the bed, make sure you do all the parts, all the different parts of the bed. You take off the mattress and do the inside. So this is for spraying the house. I was saying that the base of the treatment is using the water to wash, to drink. While the drinking is not so essential. It is, especially if the person is drinking sana every morning, so there's no need to drink many times in the day the Quranic water. Anyway, it's not essential. The essential is the bathing, and the drink will help also to drink many times in the day from that water. So we treat sihr, sorcery, jinn, and evil eye, and the base of the treatment is the water. Now for the evil eye, for the ayn, the water is sufficient. Except if the evil eye is so strong, it is affecting the body or affecting the life of the person. When the evil eye becomes very strong, it becomes like magic, it becomes like sorcery. So when it becomes like that, we treat the evil eye as if it was sorcery. For example, I had a young girl, she was blonde and bright eyes, and she was Arab, but she was looking like Barbie. So she had too much evil eye, because all the mothers were looking at her, what a nice girl, what a girl this, what a girl that. So all her hair fell down, and she had eczema on the head, and that became awful, became very bad. You see, so because the evil eye was so much on her, so much, you can imagine all these women that have black hair and dark skin, and they're looking at this girl, which is so beautiful, so yellow hair, and all say, what a nice girl, how can she be like this, how did you do? So they were so much amazed and in admiration with her. So that happened to her. So in this case, the evil eye has become strong, like sorcery, like if someone has done magic on her hair, on her body, so she will look like that. So at that time, we will treat it like sorcery. Now, coming back to jinn, most of the time, jinn is due to sihr, is related to sihr. Most of the time, about 90 to 95% or more, the jinns are sent by sihr. They're not here for any other reason than sihr has sent them. So we do not need to diagnostic the jinns particularly. We just diagnostic and treat the sihr. When the sihr is gone, the jinn also will go, but also the treatment that is removing the sihr, that will be the treatment needed to remove those jinns that came by that sihr. So we do not need mostly to make a specific diagnostic and a specific program for the jinns. Now, if jinns did not come by sihr, jinns can come by revenge. Someone would do something without saying Bismillah, like pouring hot water, going to the toilet. Even when urinating, you can burn the jinns and they'll take revenge. So even in those cases, when the jinns has come by revenge, or the jinn has come by love, when the person removes his clothes without saying Bismillah, the jinns can see him and fall in love with him. Of course, if a person is doing sins, sexual sins, such as looking at videos or whatever, any kind of sexual sins, that also attracts evil jinns, and they can fall in love with him. So even if the jinn has come for another reason, for a reason of revenge or reason of love, most of the time there is sihr inside the person already has sihr, and that sihr allows the jinn to hit him, to the jinn to come into him and to do all that to him. And that sihr will protect the jinn and give him strength, even if he's not related to that sihr in the first place. So this is why in most cases the jinn comes back to treating the sihr. So this is to say that these three problems, the nazar, the ayn, evil eye, the jinn, and also the sihr, the sorcery, come back to treating the sihr. So how to remove the sihr? So to remove the sihr, it depends how the sihr has been done. And it does not depend on what it has been done for. For example, sihr has been done to separate a couple. This sihr could be eaten, the sihr could be put in the house, the sihr could be put in a graveyard. It could be done by any means. So what we need to know in order to remove the sihr is to understand how it is done. To understand how it is done. And there are 4 ways of doing sihr. The first way is eaten. So when the sihr is eaten, mostly it will provoke problems, digestive problems. So digestive problem, it is mostly burning, acidity in stomach. That is the most thing. And it can do any kind of digestive problem, constipation, swallowing, the tummy, diarrhea, pills, colon disease, ulcer. It can also make cancer in the intestines. It can be anywhere from the entrance to the exit. So for all these kinds of illness, anything that is related to the stomach, to the digestive system, we give sana maki. We give the sana, and we try to give approximately the quantity that is necessary to remove all the sihr. So when the sana is taken, it gives diarrhea, and in some cases, some rare cases, the person does not get diarrhea. So if he does not, we'll double the quantity. Instead of putting 1 big spoon with half a liter, he will put 2 big spoons with half a liter. Inshallah, it will give him diarrhea. And so we double the quantity. So the sana empties the stomach, the intestines. So you should also tell the patient, you should also ask if he's working and what kind of job he's doing. Because if he's sitting in an office, he can go to the toilet anytime. But if he's driving or doing some other kind of job while he cannot, for example, teaching, it will be difficult, so we'll have to take it in the days he does not work. So it's going to empty the stomach, and when it removes sihr, it gives pain, like something is being ripped off, like if there is glue on your skin and you are taking it off. So that shows that that confirms that he has eaten sihr. So he's going to drink it again and again until there is no pain anymore. So we, when the patient comes, we try to, I wouldn't say to guess, we try to evaluate, to estimate how much he needs. So, for example, if someone is having a lot of pains in his stomach and a lot of problems in his life, we give him treatment for 12 days. If he's got a lot of problems in his life, but not a lot of problems in his stomach, we give him 8 days. And if someone has a lot of problems in his life and no problem in his stomach at all, we give him for 4 days, just to check. He will do it for 4 days, then when he comes back, all of them, when they come back, we ask them, so what did it do? They said, well, give me a lot of diarrhea. I said, well, did it give you pain? So now he has to think, did it give him pain? Was the pain in the beginning the same as in the end? Was it less pain in the end? Did the pain go in the end? That's what we want. So if by the end the pain did not finish, we will give him more sanamaki and try to estimate how it was doing from the beginning to end to continue that curve so that it will end. So we'll give him more days. Well, it happens that we give sana for 4 days and the person says it was terrible. So we give him for 12 days. So he'll continue until it is finished. Well, for sana, you must know that for young children that have babies, it is very possible that they had sihr from their mother. When the mother is pregnant and she has sihr, would it be done during the pregnancy or before? Would that sihr be done against the children or just for the mother? Most of the time it passes on to the child. And it passes on to the child like in shape of eaten. That means the child eats the sihr in the womb of his mother. Even if the sihr of the mother is not eaten, it's made with her photo in a grave, or however it could be done, for the child it is eaten. And that sihr on the child has the effect of giving him a weak health, and especially he will have stomach problems, and also a difficult character. That child mostly will be reluctant, refusing deen and studies and obeying to parents. So he'll be a difficult child. That's what it mostly does. Children do difficult behavior and with weak health. Now it can also make a child to be disabled, totally disabled, physically or mentally disabled. More or less, he could be just deaf, for example. Deaf, dumb. Deaf is years. So he could be deaf, for example, or any other kind of being disabled. So when you get these children, always make sure you give them sana for 4 days. Now it's not sure that he had the sihr from his mother. Well, ask about the mother. Ask her if she's having problems. If she had problems during the pregnancy, bad dreams, etc., illness, problem with her husband. So that will confirm that something has happened to her and that thing has passed on to her child. So in case you have these kind of children, make sure you give them 4 days of sana. Now, if the child is breastfeeding from his mother, that is the simplest case. Give the sana to the mother and it will clean out the child. Now, if the child will take that milk from his mother, it will give him diarrhea. So you must tell the mother to make him drink so he does not get dehydrated. So he does not get dried. So she must give him some water with a bit of sugar or something to drink, because if he's getting diarrhea because of the senamek. If the woman is pregnant, that's even better, because she just has to take the sana and do the treatment, and that will clean out the baby. And alhamdulillah, we don't have problem with pregnant women doing the treatment, the cupping, the washing, the oil and the sana, no problem. And it is much better for the child, because once the child is born with sihr, it can have a big impact that will not be able to be corrected in the future. Well, once we had a lady and she had sihr to lose her babies, and she was losing her babies, and she was pregnant, and she had sihr to lose the baby, and we told her to do the treatment, but she was afraid of the sana to make her lose the baby, etc. So she didn't do it, and she lost the baby. Well, that means that maybe the person will take the sana and will lose the baby, but that baby will have been lost anyway. But if the pregnancy has been gone over 4 or 5 months, there's no more risk, inshallah. May Allah Ta'ala help us. So this is talking about the sana. Now if it is small children, of course you have to reduce the quantity of sana according to their body. So for small children, usually you give 1 glass. If they get bigger, you give 2 glasses. And if it is, if he's bigger, he'll take the half liter. That's 3 or 4 glasses, like any person. So I was saying that we treat sihr according to the way it has been done. For example, if the sihr is eaten, so that will give pains in the stomach, in digestive problems. Now, if the person has taken a lot of sana, and still it is still giving him pain, so what can we do? Well, we can do the cupping on the tummy, on different places. Usually we do a triangle, 1 in the middle and 2 on the sides. Well, we can do that. That might help. It's not sure, but we might as well try. And if the person has taken too much sana, we can replace the sana by milk and honey. So you read Roqya, or the person will read Roqya on the milk and the honey, and take in the morning on empty stomach 1/2 liter of milk and 3 big spoons of honey. So the milk and the honey both make diarrhea, and with Quran, inshallah, we hope it will remove the sihr. That has worked, alhamdulillah, for some people. Now, of course, someone could say, well, why not directly replace the sana by milk and honey, because it is more complicated and it costs much more to give honey to each person, and it does not give such strong diarrhea as the sana makes, so it's not that much efficient. So the problem with the milk is that you have to open the milk to read the Roqya, and once you open the milk, it cannot last long. So either the person is going to read on that milk every day or 2 days, or what he can do, he can take the water where Quran has been read and mix it with milk powder. So that is very easy. So you have your same water and you add milk powder. You don't need to read the Roqya on the milk powder, and then you add the honey where the Roqya has been read, and you drink that in the morning. So there are also in different countries local products to make diarrhea, traditional products, traditional herbs or whatever to empty the stomach. So if you go to the people who sell that and you ask them which product is used to remove the sihr, because they have, I mean, it does exist in all cultures, what things to use to remove the sihr. So you take that thing is going to give you, and the way you have to drink it, because it is different ways. It's not like always like senna to boil one big spoon with half a liter. It depends how to take that thing, and you just take it with Quranic water. So that will empty your stomach, inshallah, also, and remove the sihr. So any local product also can be used if the people know. I mean, everybody can know it. It empties the stomach, but also if they know that that removes the sihr that has been eaten. So I was saying that to remove the sihr, you have to know how it is done. And the sihr can be done in 4 different ways. So the first way is the eaten one, and for that we give salah. The second way is put in the body. So they send the jinn and they put the sihr in the body. So what is the use of this jinn, of the sihr that is put in the body? The use, it has many uses. The first use is to block the functioning of some part of the body. Well, the most common example is for the ovaries of women. So they put the sihr in the ovaries to stop a woman becoming pregnant, to stop a woman getting married, to stop a woman having relations with her husband. So that would block anything related to sexuality of the woman. And that usually gives painful menses. And that pain sometimes is felt in the back, and sometimes it's felt in the front, and sometimes on both sides. So always be attentive when you have female patients about do they have pain. So you must put the cupping on the ovaries and also on the back, if she has pain on the back. If she doesn't have pain in front, you still put the cupping in front on the ovaries, but you put the cupping in the back only if she has pain. So we put the cupping for 2 reasons. Either there's pains or there's dysfunctioning. So something that's not working, like a woman cannot be pregnant, we will do the cupping on the ovaries even if she does not have pain. And if she does have pain, we'll put the cupping also. So anything that is painful on the body or anything that is dysfunctioning. So concerning pains, the main places we ask for are the head, the chest, the heart, the stomach, well that is for sana, not for cupping, the back, for women the ovaries, and the legs, knees or other parts of the legs. But we first ask the person, does he have any pains? Does he have any pains? So if there is a pain that is bothering him, he will express it. It could be anywhere. Then we ask systematically for all those parts of the body, not all the body, because that's too complicated, but those parts of the body. And many people, subhanallah, you say, do you have any pains? No, I don't have any pain. Well, do you have headaches? Oh yes, I have headaches. Do you have chest pain? Oh yes, I have chest pain. Do you have back pain? Oh yes, I have back pain. And this and that. And finally you find they have all the pains. So don't trust when someone tells you he has no pains, and ask for all the details of his body, even if it is fast. Same thing for the dreams. We'll come back to the dreams, inshallah. So now when the person has these pains, well, mostly these pains are not understandable, because medically speaking, a normal person should not have any kind of pains. So if he's having pains regularly, headaches or chest pains or back pains, there's something wrong. I mean, it's not normal. I mean, a normal human being does not have pains. There must be a cause to those pains. So once pains are happening again and again with no cause, with nothing evident, so it is likely to be jinn or sihr or ayn, evil eye. So anyway, we put the cupping on all those pains. So yes, how can we be sure it is sihr? We're not sure it is sihr. We don't have to be sure it is sihr. And cupping is a remedy for 40 diseases. Yet, you will find in most of the cases it is sihr. And in most of the cases, the person will be relieved. By the time he does the treatment, all those pains have gone. Alhamdulillah. And even if there is a cause to the pain, if there is a cause, for example, someone has broken his knee, and then he's got pain in the knee, he's done operations, he's done everything, but yet the pain is lasting, or he's broken his back, and he's got pain in the back, etc. So even if there is a cause, you still do cupping. Why? Because, first of all, if there is a cause, that does not mean there's no sihr, no jinn. It could also be the jinn. It could also be the sihr. It is possible that they did sihr on the person, so he gets that accident, and that's how the pain is staying there. And it is also possible that the person has a problem in his body, and when the jinn comes, or sihr is sent, it will go into that weak point in his body, to make it weaker, and to make him suffer. And that's where the jinn will hide. And now, even if there is absolutely no relation between that pain and jinn and sihr, so alhamdulillah, the cupping could remove it, even if it is not jinn or sihr. So this is why you must not neglect to put the cupping in any place where there is a problem. I once had a patient, he was, mashallah, a strong man, very healthy, and he had problem of blockages of his business. And he told me that physically he had nothing except one point in his shoulder blade that is sort of itching or moving or disturbing him, just that point. And not really painful, but something like moving there, like disturbing him. So we put the cupping on that place. And then when we did the jinn catching, a jinn came and he said he was there to block his life. And he was there, and the sihr was there. And the sihr was in that place in the shoulder blade. So you see, sometimes the sihr is put inside the body just to be hidden. Just that, because it is very difficult to find a healer, a raqi, that will use hijama. And it is only the hijama that will remove it. It is only the hijama. Before we used hijama, we used to do 7 treatments on a lady that has sihr in the ovaries. So we read Quran on her, we give her water to wash. It was 7 days at that time. She will come back, we'll do it again and again and again and again and again. 7 times she comes and we read, and she So before we used cupping for a woman who had sihr in her ovaries, we needed to do treatment 7 times. She comes, we read the Roqya, we give her to do treatment for 7 days. At that time she comes back, start again and again. So it is essential when you do the diagnostic not to forget any cupping, because the sihr could be there and you will not remove the sihr. So the jinn will stay stacking on the person, and the problem of the person will be staying, will not be removed. And the person, it will be a failure. You see, it will be a failure. And that failure has, of course, consequences. If you are here telling to people, come, we treat you with Quran, Roqya, Rasulullah said this, Allah said that, and in the end the person is not healed, is not cured. So we will be discredited. And it will be difficult to get his confidence again and to get him to do a second treatment. So this is why each time any person comes, we do our best to remove everything he has. And every time someone comes back after his treatment and you see that everything has not been removed, there is some progress, but there are some things are lasting, each time you must ask yourself, how should I have done to remove everything in the first go? So this is always our goal, our objective, how to remove everything in one single treatment. So if if the person comes back and something is left of jinn, of sihr, you must think, was it possible to remove it, to give him such a treatment that it would have gone from the first time? We always think this way. So this is concerning the hijama, how to do it. Now you know that any place where it is difficult to put the hijama, or impossible, like for example the eye, it's not possible, so we try to put it on the closest place. For example, the head, usually we put the hijama on the neck, and down the neck, on the bone that is under the neck. But if the person has too many pains and too many headaches, so then we have to put on the head. It will not be enough to do the cupping down there, so we can do on the forehead. Now the problem on the forehead, on the whole of the head, is that it pains a lot. because it's directly on the bone instead of being on the flesh, on the meat. And also it will leave a mark for 7 days or for 2 weeks, depending on how colored is the person. The more the person has a dark skin, the less the mark will be. So if someone is very white, you must know it's going to leave him a very, very visible mark for some time. So you must ask what is his job, if it is possible. And if you're going to put that cupping, you must tell him that's going to leave you a mark. Now if the case is desperate, like someone is crazy totally, or not being able to work at all because of that pain, so there's no choice, you have to put the maximum. Now it is also possible to put on the head. So for men it is easy to shave, maybe not easy, but for women it is very difficult to shave. So we will only shave if the case is really very bad, but we have that option to shave either the whole head to put many cups, or just the place where we want to put the cup. Now you can get the cup stuck on the head, on the hair, with honey, and better with glucose. Alhamdulillah, actually I just discovered glucose recently, and glucose is like glue, it sticks like glue, and it is cheaper, and it gives less, it does not leak like honey will be leaking everywhere. So any Roqya center should try to get some glucose and use it. Just put it on the cup and it will stick inshallah like glue, bi'idhnillah tabarak wa ta'ala, and that will help putting hijab on the head without any problem on any kind of hair, bi'idhnillah tabarak wa ta'ala. I want to say for other places, for example like knees, well, I'm not going to show my knee, I'm going to show you my elbow. For example, this is the knee. So you have to put it somewhere around the knee, either on the right side, on the left side. If you can't find, you put it on the back. But if you put it on the thigh, if you put it higher on the thigh, that will not have effect on the knee. So when it is on the knee, you have to put it on the knee. So what am I saying? So that for hijama, any places that are difficult to put, we put it in closest place we can. So this is why it is also important to have small pots of hijama, to put it in the small places like the feet and other, like the wrist, where you cannot put big pots. So this is what concerning the diagnostic, I told you that sihr can be made in 4 different ways. Eaten, put in the body, and that goes with hijama, with cupping. Now some people who do not accept cupping, because they're afraid, or because they cannot see the blood that makes them panic, or they have illness and they're taking medicine to make their blood go fluid. So we should try to convince them to do the cupping, because it is very important. And actually in some cases I will refuse to treat the person if he refuses cupping, because I know that this case can only be removed with cupping. And if we're going to go back to the old days when we used to do 7 treatments for a woman who has hijab on her ovaries, I'm not ready to do that. I'm not ready to take her 7 times, take her money each time, give her treatment to do just because she's refusing the cupping. So I prefer not to treat her at all. So in some cases, if someone does not want to do the cupping, I will not accept to treat him, because I see that the chances of him getting cured without the cupping are too small. So it's not worth it. Either he does it or he doesn't do it. But in most cases we can do the treatment without the cupping. Well, when we do the treatment without the cupping, actually I must say that some people come back and their pains have disappeared, subhanallah. Their pains, knee pains, back pains, everything has disappeared just by doing the treatment, alhamdulillah, and by rubbing, etc. So fine. And other people will come back, will feel better, and they feel that those pains are still there, and they ask for cupping. So alhamdulillah, maybe that first treatment without cupping will help him accept cupping in the second time. Now if we don't do cupping on him, so you must tell him to insist with oil. And those places he must rub them with oil and recite Fatiha. You can just recite those verses of Roqya while rubbing. So I hope everybody understands what is happening. So there's some bad energy, that is the sihr, that is being sucked by the cup. So and the cup is very efficient to suck it out. As I also say, it's like if you're fighting with a ghost. If you punch him or stab him or shoot him, that will not affect him. But if you have a hoover that is strong enough to suck him, so he cannot resist that, and you're going to hold him. So it's just the same thing for sihr in the body. So the cupping will suck it out. So if the person does not use the cupping, you will rub with the oil and recite. He will rub, well, someone else, if it is his family, they can rub and recite and recite and recite. So the effect of the Quran and the oil that is already Quranized will work on his body, and that will inshallah break that sihr or neutralize that sihr. It's not as efficient as the cup, but it will help that way. Instead of just washing with water, tell him that those places he should have had the cupping on. He must rub them and recite every day. He can also do it morning and evening. Now, for the people who have diabetes and who take medicine to make the blood fluid, actually we never have had any problem with them. So when we do the cupping, because when we cut, you don't see the blood, and by the time the cup is finished and we clean it, the blood does not continue leaking, even for people who have those illnesses. Okay, so I think that is everything concerning the cupping. Now the third way of making sihr is the symbolic way. Now there's a course on symbols that you should have seen before this course of diagnostic, how to use the symbols and how to remove the symbols. So when now we are using the sheets of paper printed with edible ink that contain all the verses to remove the symbols. Yet we have to make a diagnostic as precise as possible for each person. For each person you have to make a precise diagnostic. Why? For many reasons. First reason is that the sihr, the more you identify it, the more it gets weaker. It is like the jinns. The jinns don't like to give their names, their age, what they're doing here, etc. Because the more they're hidden, they are strong. And the more that you know about them, the more they get weak. So it is the same. When you identify the sihr, it makes it weaker. For example, if a couple is fighting, and then they know that sihr has been made for them to fight. So just by knowing that will make them get calmer and not be affected by the sihr as if they didn't know anything and it is just happening to them. So this is the first reason. When you identify the sihr, it makes it weaker. So it is part of the treatment to diagnostic that sihr and to write down all the kinds of sihr. Now when you write down the sihr, you have to write down the sihr, not, for example, if the person is dreaming that he's falling. So that means the sihr is on high place, a tree or mountain. So we put tree, you don't put falling, because falling is not a sihr that is falling. The sihr has been made on a tree. You see? So you have to translate the symptom of the person into what kind of sihr it is. So you have that in the book and in the papers of training, in the training sheets. So the symbols, you have to diagnose them. Even if you are going to give the person the sheet with the whole 45 verses of different symbolic sihr, because first of all, when the sihr is diagnostic, it makes it weaker. Second reason, when the person will come back, you have to be able to see what was there and what is left now. From what this kind of sihr he had. Now when you go to ask him, what does he feel, what does he see in his dreams, etc. So you can compare to understand that this is going less, or this symptom is staying, is not going, or this symptom is new, he did not have before, that just appeared now, so that you can understand how the person is going. Is he going to be cured or is not, or what is happening to the person, to make a follow-up. And the third reason is that you always might find yourself in a situation where you don't have those papers with all the symbols. So now you need to know which are the symbols that concern the person, so you know what to read in that water. What to read in that water. Well, you read, if you're going to read the Roqya, and then you add each verse of that concerns the person, you read them 11 times. Or if you're going to write for him the same first verses that are Fatiha, al-Kursi, the 3 verses of Musa alayhi salam plus the 3 qulb, then you add the verses that concern his case. So this is why you need to be able to identify all the types of sihr. And it is not possible to recite those 45 verses 11 times each, or to write down all those verses for each person, that will be take too much time. So this is why you have to identify 3, 5, 10 verses that the person needs. So this is why this is concerning the symbolic sorcery. Now there's something to know about the symbolic sorcery. If there's one symbol or a few symbols that are very strong on the person, for example, the person is very much depressed, thinking about death, very tired, so you feel that the sihr on the grave is affecting him very much. So today someone told me that here in South Africa there's a way of making sihr that they take nails that are 6 inches, 15 centimeters long, and they put the sihr there, and they put it inside of a body of a baby, of a dead baby that they take out of the grave, and they put the sihr inside through his feet, through his head, etc. So you see that sihr made in the grave, for example, can become much more complicated than just putting something inside the grave, or just taking the water that someone was washed with, a dead person was washed with, and use that for sihr, or take the sand of a graveyard to use that for sihr. It can be much more complicated than this. I also had a patient where the sahir has been doing knots all night long. So it's not just a few knots, it is all the night he was making knots and knots and knots and knots for one person. So sometimes that symbol could be very, very oppressing the person and very strong. So then you tell the person to take those verses, the verse of that symbol, and read it himself or someone of his family more and more in the water. 30 times, 50 times, 100 times, whatever you see is appropriate. So that will make the treatment stronger and the healing faster, and that will also make the people participate and take it as something essential. They will understand that their reading is also important, part of the procedure for them to be healed, and so that they take it seriously, and they pray Allah, and they will be fearing Allah that maybe because of their sins or their lacks, Allah will not accept and the treatment will not go. So that will engage them in the process of healing. So that is quite important. So whenever you see that some part, when you feel by experience that the normal treatment is already very strong and calculated for strong cases, but if you feel that this problem of the person will not be removed, you don't think it's going to be removed by those 12 days, so add more verses to focus more on that problem, to insist on removing that problem. So I told you there's 4 types of sihr. The eaten one, the one that's put on the body, the symbolic sorcery that's done with objects, something to identify the person, and then it's put in any kind of place. So, and then the last sihr is the sihr by contact. This contact mostly is walking on the sihr. When they put sihr in front of the house or in front of the shop, the business, and the person goes in and out, always walks on it, so it will affect his legs, make his legs heavy, or giving him eczema or psoriasis on his legs, then all over the body, any type of physical problem in the legs. Mostly it is due to walking on the sihr. But the sihr by contact, this contact can be done by any way. I had, for example, a woman, sihr was done on her kuhl, on the surma, the black powder she puts in the eye. So she put it in her eyes and she had very terrible headaches. I had another woman, sihr was put on her lipstick and she had the mouth full of cuts and pus. May Allah Ta'ala protect us. And different ways. I had also a boy, he was playing and he fell down, and on his back he fell on sihr. So it affected his back. So that means that touching the sihr can come by any way. But most common is walking on it, because they put it in front of someone's house or someone's shop. And you can also walk on it accidentally, it just has been thrown somewhere. For example, in the graveyard, there's many sihr that are buried there, so you can just walk on it without knowing, and that will affect you. So, concerning this type of sihr, there's nothing more to add for the treatment, because it's going to make cupping on the places where there's pain or heaviness or skin diseases, and then you do the same treatment with the water and oil and incense. So nothing to add. So now, what you must understand with these symptoms, the sihr has primary symptoms and secondary symptoms. That means secondary effects. Primary effects, secondary effects. Mostly, the primary effects are blockage of life. That means the sihr has been done to this person to stop him work, get money, get married, have children, study his projects. Mostly this is the purpose of the sihr. And the secondary effects are the other symptoms. You know that there's 4 symptoms of the sihr, jinn and ayn: blockages in life, unusual health problems, unusual mental states, and bad dreams. So the first effect is blockages in life. The others are secondary effects, usually. For example, if you eat sihr, it is done to block your life, and because you have eaten, it's going to give you pain in the stomach. So the purpose was not to give you pain in the stomach. But you can also give someone sihr, may Allah protect us, someone can be given sihr to eat, to kill him, and that will make cancer in his stomach. You see? So that the health problem can become the first problem, can become the purpose of the sihr. Also the mental problem, usually it is secondary effects. That, for example, they do sihr in the graveyard to block your life and you become depressed because it is done in the graveyard. But it can be the first effect, for example, to separate a couple or to make someone crazy or to stop someone studying. So it can become the primary effect. Basically in sihr you have the primary effects that are blockages in life, and the secondary effects that come in your health, in your feelings, in your mentality, and in your dreams. So dreams, of course, are secondary effects, that's for sure. Sihr is not done to someone to make him dream, but to make something in his life, and because the sihr is there, so he's having dreams. So it is secondary effects. So why do I say this? Because you have to find an equilibrium. You have to find a balance between the primary and the secondary effects. For example, if someone is having lot of bad dreams, and you understand that there's quite a bit of sihr done on him, and he says that his life is, everything's okay in his life. His job is okay, his money is okay, his marriage is okay, and his mental is okay, he's well concentrated, he does not have fears, does not have depression, he has nothing. But he's doing all these dreams that are related to sihr. So there's something wrong. There must be something wrong. So there must be an explanation. There must be an explanation. It could be that he has blockages, but he's not telling them, or he's not aware of them. It could be Allah Ta'ala prevented those blockages. It happens to some people. It is very rare that the sihr does not work. But some people, it will not work on them, or it will not work fully. Either because they are very pious, either because they are very straight in life, or they are very logic in their mind. They are so logic, so clear-minded, nothing can affect them because they are so sure of what they do. So that also can make the sihr affect them less. Also because of dua of their parents making a lot of dua for them to protect them, that the sihr did not work on them. So when the sihr did not work on them, usually it goes on to secondary effects. It can just become the health, it can just become tiredness, and sometimes there is no effect at all. But the sihr is there and it has not worked. So this is an explanation, for example, if someone has secondary effect without the primary effects. And the other way of balancing, so when the person has blockages, cannot get married, or his business is not working, now you have to look for the secondary effects in order to identify the sihr, in order to remove it. Okay? And that is a problem, that if someone has blockages, but physically he's okay, and mentally he's okay, and he's having no dreams. So for example, when the people, didn't speak enough about dreams, I'm coming to back. Some people don't dream at all, good or bad. Yet the sihr is there. It's just that there's something special about him that makes him, he doesn't dream. And actually so far, I couldn't identify what is special about how to explain that a person does not do any dreams. Whereas, concerning the sihr he has, he should be doing dreams, but he's not. Some people don't dream at all. I don't know why, but it's a fact. When you ask someone about his sorcery dreams and he says no, and you find it is unusual, because the way his life is blocked and the problems he should be having those dreams. But he says he doesn't remember, he doesn't do any dream. So ask him if he does good dreams. So if he does good dreams and he does not do bad dreams, that means there's not that kind of sihr, because it would appear in the dreams. But if he does not have good dreams nor bad dreams, so you know that there's a blank. So he for a reason, I don't know why, he does not dream at all. But yet the sihr is there, and the sihr should make those dreams. But because the person does not dream at all, so he don't have those dreams. So in that situation, you have to guess. You have to guess from the symptoms. Is this something done in the grave? Is this something done in trees? Is this something done this such or such way? And well, it's not just a guess, like a stupid guess, like say, who's going to win the World Cup? Just say a stupid guess because there's no way someone can guess before. No, it is a calculation. You see that what kind of sihr would provoke this kind of symptom, and that's what you're going to do. You see, so it's I wouldn't say an intelligent way, but a deduction. How to understand what's going on, to understand what kind of sihr has been used. So I was saying, when someone has the blockage and does not have any other symptom at all, when there's blockage, that means there's sihr. So you must be careful, because some people, when you have no more pain, no more dreams, they say, there's no more sihr, but my business is not working, or I can't get married. Say, no, you have nothing else. No, you can't say you have nothing. Just say that I cannot find anything else. I don't see anything else. I don't see anything else. Maybe there's something that I cannot find. So, in that case, what you can do, because it is possible that sihr has no secondary effects. Well, the most basic sihr is just words. And those words can be done on knots, it can be done on food to make you eat, it can be done on something to put in your house, etc. But basically it is words. And when it is simple words, that will have the effect of why the sihr has been done without any secondary effect. And when it is simple words, it will just go by washing. So anyway, if the person does not have a secondary effects, you just give him the washing. Now to be sure, you can give him 4 days of salah. And to be sure, you can make cupping on the sunnah places, on the neck, on the shoulder blades, and down on the lumbars, on the kidneys. And anyway, it will not harm him to do cupping, it's a sunnah. So that's what we do. For someone who does not have the side effects, the secondary effects. So let me speak about dreams now. Yes, we ask people dreams. We ask them, do you see nightmares? Then we ask, what nightmares do you see? Let the person speak. And now try to relate all those nightmares to the list of symbols we have. So then you ask, after he gives his nightmares, you ask, do you see people chasing you in your dreams? So if he does see something chasing him, that is lock. If it is people chasing him, that is letter. Even if he sees lots of people without chasing him, it is letter, it is writing. If you see, then you ask, do you see snakes or animals? Why snakes or animals? Because most often it is snakes. Sometimes it is other animals. And you don't know, you don't need, when you ask for the dreams of sorcery, to ask, do you see dog? Do you see cat? Do you see horse? Do you see spider? Do you see ant? Do you see fish? No, you don't need to go into these details. Because the way sihr comes in the dream, it is something very real. And it is affecting the person. So even if that dream has gone since 5 years, when the moment you say, did you see snake? It will come back immediately. You see? So you don't have to go to each and every kind of animal. Did you see snake or other animals? So if the person has seen snakes, you will put the snake, the knots for the snake, and also you put the lock. Why? Because snake is always aggressive. Even it does not aggress you, but by nature he's aggressive. By nature. And most when people see snakes, they are threatening them or they are attacking them. So you also put the lock. Now let me tell you about animals. So from cat to lion, it's all dog. It's all dog. Cat, dog, wolf, lion, tiger. Everything it is dog. Why? Those are the jinns that the sorcerers send on people like dogs. Like if you have aggressive dogs and you send them to attack someone. That is from cat to lion. Now horse and donkey and camel, they also go for footsteps like cars and vehicles, airplane, boat, train. Also all goes in vehicles. If it is the donkey, it's also donkey, because donkey is used to make someone stupid. If it is the camel, it is also sacrifice, because they are animals of sacrifice. Now all the animals we eat, it is sheep, it is chicken, it is goat, it is cow. That's all sacrifices that are done against the person, all the way to camel. Now, for other animals, for example, spider. Spider is something very important, because spider, it is jinns that are like octopus, and they come in the brain and they hold the brain of someone. That does not let him think, that does not let him concentrate. And there is, subhanallah, we say in French, he's got a spider in the roof. That means he's crazy. That means there's a spider up there in his mind. And subhanallah, it is very often that it is jinn spiders that are in his mind doing that. And those jinns actually, they're not naturally spider. They're not naturally. They're just made like that by sorcerers. They turn to that, and you see, it is energy, fluid energy. So it's like those balloons where you can make any animals with. It's a bit like that, the body of jinns. So they can make many things out of their body. What's other animal? Well, there's the fish. I said the fish. So the fish is also important. That is when they put sihr on a hook and they put it in water and they wait for fish to take it and to go with it. So you must also ask for the fish. But you don't systematically ask for the spider, but the person will remember. If he's seeing a spider, he will tell you spider. So after we said snakes or animals, then you ask for water. And if the person sees water by any shape, so just put water. Then you ask, do you see yourself climbing or flying or falling or sleeping? And that means it is in a tree, or in a high place, tree or mountain. And then do you see dead people? Just see dead people. If the person sees dead people or sees himself there, sees graves, he would say, oh, I don't see dead people, I see graveyard, I see funerals. Okay, it's all related to grave. Then, for women, you ask, do you see clothes? Do you see children or babies? And children or babies is sihr made with inner clothes, as the relation of breastfeeding between the inner clothes and the babies. So you put clothes. No need to put inner clothes, or this. People will be imagining who has taken my clothes and everything. Just put clothes. And also blood. This is for women. So whatever kind of blood she sees, would it be menses blood or not menses blood or whatever blood, so you put menses blood. And then you ask, does she see sexual dreams? Now, sexual dreams does not mean that the person is having sexual relations. It could be that. It could be just someone trying. It could be seeing other people having sexual relations or doing something sexual. Or it could be just seeing people naked. So any kind of dream that has relation to sex does not mean the person is doing it himself. So we put pants. Before we used to put pants and pubis hair. But pubis hair, people will think, what's this pubis hair? How did someone take my pubis hair, etc. So just put pants. And when those dreams are very strong, you have to put the cupping on the pubis, because often when those dreams are very strong and jinns are coming too much to have sex with the person, so that means that there's something there attracting the jinns. So you have sihr, essentially, that is put on the sexual part of the person to attract the jinns. So you have to put the cupping there. Also, when the when the person having too much sexual dreams or feelings, so you have to put the incense on a wrapper. I mean, instead of having a cloth or something that's covering all the body, you put something that covers just the half of the body. Just the half. You attach it there, and you put the incense under it and leave it for 10 good minutes. So that will cook him well, inshallah. The first sister who has done this because she was having sexual dreams, so she had the idea on her own, and she read the Roqya on the incense and used it, and after 2 days she saw the jinn and the dream, and his manhood had gone. So that is a good part of the problem that had disappeared. So what was I saying? MashaAllah, Ya Allah. Allah Ta'ala give us more ilm and knowledge and wiseness and hikmat. So I was talking about what? Subhanallah. I was talking about the dreams you ask the people. So, children and babies and blood, that's for women. Sexual dream, that's for both. Then we get to, do you see fish in the dream? And do you see toilet? So when they see toilet, it is sihr used either using wastes or put in the toilet And people have so many different dreams about toilets. Some see the toilet and think they are urinating and they urinate in the bed. And some see that toilets are very, very dirty and they can't do their needs there. They're looking everywhere how to find another toilet. And some reach the toilet, but the toilet is open, everybody's looking, and etc. Different ways of seeing the toilet. And you can understand that how efficient it is to put the sihr in the toilet. I had one patient, he told me that wherever he goes, it's like if shit is on his head. Hashik. That's exactly how it works, you see. And there's subhanAllah, there's an expression in French and English where they say you're in deep. And that's exactly it, because they have put it deep inside there, so that's how your life is. May Allah Ta'ala protect us. So that will make you dream about all those things by different ways. Okay? So that's about it. Now, the other dreams that are related to sihr, they are rare. So I don't prefer to ask all these small things that are very rare, but then it depends on the country you are, because sihr is different like recipes, like food. So some countries you never get toilet. Some countries get toilet all the time. For example, in South Africa, the biggest sihr that is there is snakes, so knots. That is the most common. The most, I don't know why, but that's how it is. What the most people see is snakes, and it depends on each country. So now let's come back to the diagnostic. So when the person comes, now I gave you all the details of food, how to give sana, of cupping, of the dreams, of what else I gave you. Now globally, when someone comes, the first question you ask him, what's your problem? Why are you coming? That's the first question to ask. So you listen to his question. Now, if his answer is not for him, it's not for himself. He said, I come because my husband is this and that, my wife is this and that, my child is this and that. So it's not for him. Basically, he's coming for someone else. So you know that you're not going to ask for his dreams and his pains and no, nothing. So if he's coming for someone else, try to make sure, okay, your child has this problem. What about yourself? What problem do you have? Because some people talk about the others, and then when you think you're finished, they say, no, me too, I have this and that problem. So you have to start all over again. So if the person is coming for himself and others, try to start with him. Okay, let's start with you. Tell me what you have pain, what do you see in your dream, what's wrong in your life, and then we'll discuss about your children or your husband and wife, etc. So anyway, if the person is not coming for himself, you must know that we have limited ways of action. There's not much we can do for someone who's not here. What we can do basically is give him a treatment to give to that person to make him do at home. So now that treatment is going to give him water to wash, oil, incense, sana, and also oil to spray the house. Now, we don't need to know what are his dreams, where does he have pain, nothing, except for the stomach pains. So if he says that his son or his whatever is at home, and we're going to give him to just ask, does he have stomach pains? And try to give him the quantity of sana. For the rest, it is the same treatment, so you do not need to go into the details. What we can do also for someone who's absent is to do the catching. So also we'll do the catching for that person. But the catching remote by distance is not as efficient as having the person, but it will help anyway. What else we can do? Now if the person does not want to take a treatment, does not want anything, so we will tell that person to read the Roqya on the house products, on the water to drink, on the oil to cook, on the products to put in the food, on the shampoo and washing stuff to wash the body, on the products to wash the house, to wash the ground, to wash the windows, on the product also to wash the clothes, to do the laundry, and the perfumes of the person, on the incense of the house. So all that he will open and read the Roqya on it. So if the person is doing his treatment, he has to read those verses on his water, so he can at the same time do it for the house. And you can always do it, it will just help you anyway. So if someone is is a raqi, he might as well make the Roqya on all the products of the house, so that will help him all year long. So that everybody will be using those products, and that person who is concerned will be using those products, so that will help him slightly. That will help him little by little, inshallah, by long term. That could change the situation, and may Allah Ta'ala cure him and cure all our ill people. on our patients. Now what he also can do for that person, he can make the dua before sleeping. If he finds the jinns or the people who made sihr on that person, we should kill them. If he sees that person in a dream, he must catch him and read Fatiha. Read Fatiha, that can cure him, inshallah. So I told him, if the person comes and says that he's coming for someone else, this is what we can do about it. Now if he is coming, if he says a problem that is not clearly due to sihr, he says that, for example, he finished his studies, he didn't get a job. Well, you ask, how long ago? It's just 1 year. Well, what about the all others that finished studies same time as you? Did they get jobs? Well, half of them got a job. It is the situation of the country. So we must tell people that sometimes people have blockages and they say, I want you to do something for me so I get married. I have a good husband or a good wife, or I want a good job. So we must have that. We cannot do anything of that. What we do, we inshallah remove the blockages, the sorcery that is blocking you, and then your life will become normal. And we can't say more. May Allah Ta'ala help us. So if the problem that the person is saying that he came for is not a problem related to jinn and sihr and ayn, so we must say that no, that this is not. For example, one man told me that he was, every time he sleeps, he has his teeth. He bites his teeth a lot. So this is not a clear symptom of jinn. Maybe it could be jinn sihr, maybe it's something else. So I asked him, when did that start? He said it started when he had a car accident and the 4 people with him all died. So it is a psychological shock. He was shocked by that situation, and so that is nervous. So that's not something related to jinn and sihr, needs psychotherapy. Well, that's an example. Well, anyway, if the person says that he's coming for a problem, and we see that that problem is not due to jinn and sihr, so we say that we cannot treat that. It's not it's not part of our work. But if he wants, we can read Quran, make cupping, give treatment. Anyway, it will not harm him, and maybe Allah Ta'ala by His barakat will help him. For example, when you have handicapped children, children that are disabled mentally or physically, and since their birth, they're born like that or very early, so we must tell the parents that we do not have hope for them to become normal. But if it is due to sorcery done to the mother, so we can remove that sorcery, there will be, inshallah, some improvement. But we cannot say from the beginning how much improvement we will get. Now, mashallah, children disabled, improvement, may Allah Ta'ala help us, inshallah. So when the person says his problem, he says, so we know that this problem is due to sihr. Now we start asking him. So we ask him for the physical pains, then we ask him for the dreams, then we ask him for his job. Is he working? Is it going well? Does his money get lost or wasted? Then after the dreams we ask him, does he get angry too much, excessively, for no reason? And then in the end you ask him for his marriage. If he is in age to be married, are you married? Is it going okay with your wife or husband? If he says, well, we don't systematically ask for sexual life because it is bothering. Because if it is okay, it is okay. If it is not okay, so we ask what's wrong. What's wrong? And if there's a problem concerning sexual relations, so we must ask what is the problem. So we know, does he need treatment? Does he need cupping? Does she need? What to do about it exactly? Okay. So now also, I told you that in the treatment, when someone comes back, after having done the treatment, he comes back. So if we see, well, if everything's finished, fine, everything's finished. So if everything's finished, if you are surprised that all those problems have gone in one treatment, you can give him a second treatment just to be sure. Give him a second treatment, just water and oil, just to be sure that maybe something little is left, that there's nothing left. If the person is halfway or more than halfway, so you know that, alhamdulillah, so we've gone halfway or 2/3 or 3/4, so we just continue a second treatment, complete second treatment, and don't be neglectant on anything in the second treatment. Just make it complete and read strongly, etc., to finish off what is left. Now, if you are less than halfway, third way, quarter of the way, so only 1/4 of this problem has left, now you must think very, very seriously, because repeating the same treatment will not be enough. So we must think very seriously, what can we do more for this person? What thing did we miss? What can we add as cupping, as giving more verses, as using more salah, whatever his problem, whatever we can do more. Ask him to do Salat al-Haja every night, to ask Allah Ta'ala to show him what clue we can get. Maybe also he needs psychotherapy, and because he has a psychological problem that is preventing the jinn and sihr from going away. Anyway, if you see that the person is not progressing well, would it be 1/4 or less, or even nothing has changed, think very seriously what is the problem, and don't just repeat the same thing, think that it will take as much time. No, we're not the kind of person. I mean, I met once a Raqi, and he said it's normal. Yeah, people take from 6 months to 5 years to be treated. No, we're not that kind of people. We're not going to make someone come back for months and months and for years and years, and we think that is normal. No, that's not normal at all. That's not normal at all. Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah Ta'ala, we have a rate of success of 85% after 3 treatments. So we must know, to get to that rate, to alhamdulillah, that people are totally treated and totally finished at 85%. So you must be fighting at every time. Never take this as a routine or as something normal, just without no. Whenever you see that it's not going properly, you must think, and do your best to find a solution. Try again. Now everything is in the hands of Allah Ta'ala. You must also check. Maybe the person did not do his treatment correctly. Maybe he's having some kind of shirk at home, some kind of thing he's keeping. Remember once we treated a man, he was lying in bed for 2 years, and they got us treating morning and evening, and after 2-3 days they said that there's a box under his bed which is full of ta'weez and full of stuff that his mother gave him, and she told him never to leave that. Subhanallah. So all the sihr is under his bed and we're trying to treat him. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So also when people don't get cured, you have to check. Anyway, just think how to check, and may Allah Ta'ala help us. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.